Not that you need yet another take on the unaliving of a white nationalist political commentator, podcaster, and YouTuber yesterday, whose unaliving by a sniper eclipsed news of yet another mass shooting at a school in Colorado, and also eclipsed the fact that all of the Republicans in Congress chose to vote against releasing documents that would show who has been abusing children, including possibly maybe a person who wrote a love letter to Ruthstein with a figure of a pubescent looking child and their large signature in felt tip. That all got eclipsed by this person who I would say it's never good when someone leaves this world through violence, especially when that person is also a husband and a dad, so they're leaving behind family members. I do think that Charlie Kirk's early demise from this realm has some legacy and lessons in it for those of us on the left. I usually try to keep my space talking about legal, and I want to stay in my lane. I deviate every once in a while, but I also feel like I've been the person to contextualize and help people frame news items in a way so that they have a less vitriolic, have a less anxiety-inducing reaction to the news. So here's my attempt to do that in the Charlie Kirk sense. And this is coming at a time that two things are happening. A lot of responses, I'm surprised by the number of Christians that I know in my life who say they're non-political, who never said anything political. They definitely didn't acknowledge the Minnesota Representative Melissa Hortman's being unalived by a Charlie Kirk acolyte, her and her husband and her dog. They've never said anything about the children being killed by various different mass shootings because they want to stay apolitical, but somehow they come out of their shell to be political because they talk about politics a lot on this specific notion. That aside, I think it's also good to contextualize and frame this in the fact that while the United States is having this moment in history where we have a wannabe authoritarian dictator being propped up by techno-fascists and Project 2025 and puppeteers who are trying to essentially dismantle and destroy all things American, to the extent that America, the way it is, helps marginalized communities, the trans community, supports and enables immigration, migration, because this is a nation of immigrants. Like everyone other than the people who were enslaved or the folks who are already here, the native people came here escaping something or were invited, but they're from somebody else. No one's native other than the native people who were brought here by force and their descendants. Everyone else came voluntarily on a boat, including Senator Eric Schmidt, who I said his great-great-grandmother got some snickerdoodles and a bratwurst, and she put it in a little knapsack, and she found herself a little corner on a boat on her way to Ellis Island before she landed in Missouri. Like, they're not, your peoples are not native either. They're not founding fathers. Like, have the nerve to tell my America's a white nation. Anyway, I digress. Get my I digress merch. This video is sponsored by jjlegal.com, where you can get and support me by purchasing my merchandise, my data, or just going to my YouTube channel and watching my YouTube channels, my videos, and binge watching my videos. You can support me. Or you can purchase this necklace. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to tag this. It came from Kohl's. Anyway, back to the story. So I'm going to contextualize that while this is going on in the United States, there's also moments in our timeline right now in Nepal, in France, in the Congo, where they too are battling with their elected leaders who have sent militarized their cities, who have essentially raining terror on their citizens, the same way Donald Trump is raining terror on blue cities and people he didn't vote for him. Something that he'd already threatened to do, something that he gave us a little taste of his first term, notwithstanding that fact, too many people decided that they did not like Kamala Harris, even if they voted for Barack Obama twice, even if they voted for Bill Clinton. They just couldn't stomach to vote for that black and Indian woman. 77 million of them, if you believe the count, chose this that we're dealing with now. I digress again. So that is not the point of this message. The point of the message is that we are not unique. I know we seem to talk about American exceptionalism, and we do believe that we are the center of the universe. A lot of people want to come here for a reason, because it's the land of the free, supposedly, and this is a place where there's opportunity, there's capitalism. You can be anything you want to be here. And notwithstanding all that, this is something that's gone on before. And as also, this is something that's gone on before in other countries right now. This is something the United States have dealt with. You should know that me, myself, when I was in college, I'm an older person, we and some of us were protesting for Palestinian rights. And we were doing that at a time where the current students that do that were not alive. They weren't born yet. We also, in my school, successfully got our campus and our school leaders to divest from apartheid South Africa. We were doing the sit-ins, similar to the way the people who are trying to free Palestine are doing the sit-ins. Those kids weren't even born when we were doing that. We were successful. And as we were doing that, I had professors who were part of the Kent State incident where the National Guard ended some student protesters. They were alive at the time when some of their family members were sent to Vietnam or protested the Vietnam War. Some people now in this timeline marched in Selma or were part of the Freedom Riders who or were down in the South being sicked with dogs and hoses because they were protesting for civil rights. The Stonewall, the suffrage movement, there have been lots of periods in time in the United States when there has been, sadly, assassinations, MLK, RFK, and JFK, to name a few of recent history. So we've been on this timeline before. It's been vitriolic. The only thing different from this timeline and what's going on in the world around us is the United States now has a citizenry that is armed to the teeth. Our Second Amendment has enabled, from back in those days to now, where a lot of people have arsenals in their backyard, downstairs, in their dooms preppers, cellars. So, and we have this thing called Second Amendment. However, I do want to say that I'm going to thread the needle between Charlie Kirk's demise and Second Amendment. So I got a think piece that you might not have already seen circulating in social media or mass media about Charlie Kirk, the alt-right podcaster, YouTuber, who was able to create a critical voting block out of Gen Z voters and deliver them for Donald Trump. And I'm going to tell you what lessons can be learned from Kirk's effort and how an actual legacy can be built that could potentially usher in common sense, comprehensive gun control, something that he rallied against his entire life. Now, if you're interested in that take, I am sharing it for members of my Patreon, Substack, YouTube, and TikTok private communities only because it's not necessarily controversial, but it is a different take, and it is, I don't know, this day and age right now, it's probably good to keep our secrets to ourselves. So if you're members of the community, hop over there or continue watching this video, and I'm going to give you the tea and give you my perspective. Okay, so see you soon. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. But that's why you might want to join my community. I saw somebody just unsubscribe, sis. You better get back on.